Another thing that I want to talk about here tonight, just real quick, tons and tons and tons of conspiracies surrounding the Charlie Kirk assassination. I've looked at all the videos that were available out there. Some of them were actually isolated to just Candace Owens, where she had received them and she only actually spoke about them. You didn't get to see them all. But a lot of these conspiracies are talking about these anomalies that are down there underneath the tent with the security team or with the people in the crowd. But none of them are linked back to Tyler Robinson. And I still believe that that man is the one that took the shot. And at this point, I'm beginning to believe that he did shoot him with a 30-06, that Mauser 98 that has been taken in by evidence from by the police there. He actually talked about in text coming back to get the weapon and was unable to retrieve it because he ran into the police there. And the text prior to the assassination saying that he was going to have the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk. I believe that these were not made up. I don't believe this is some kind of FBI cover-up. I don't believe there was an operation here that was above and beyond what is of face value. That this man just did not like the views of Charlie Kirk, and he went in there and he did what he thought he had to do to stop Charlie Kirk from speaking out against transsexuals and against that, that lifestyle. That's just what happened. Look at the guy in Texas. Is it so hard to believe that this guy was a right-leaning person? He would have to be, in my opinion. I mean, obviously, I don't know his political affiliations. I've already said that. But he's talking about going out and attacking a pride parade. Now, I generally don't know too many leftists that are going to do that. So I'm going to assume this guy is on the right. All right, maybe I'm taking a big leap, but I don't think so. And he was willing to go out and do this in revenge for Charlie Kirk. And I found that, generally speaking, the people on the right are going to be more level-headed. They're going to be more willing to talk to you about things. And they're going to be less willing to go out and just pick up a gun and start shooting at you. That's generally what you find. And the reason that the statistics show opposite, that there's more right-wing violence, is how they categorize it. I've already talked about this before. There's a lot of things they don't categorize as political violence, so that it cannot be looked at in the statistics to be said that the left is committing more of it than the right is. But the truth of the matter is, in this case, regardless of this man's political affiliations in that respect, just talking about in general, the right and the left, not talking about any specific person, you're going to find that there's going to be more people on the right that are going to be less willing to go out and just pick up a weapon and go firing at you. But this guy, he was willing to do it, even though he was right-leaning, I believe, and even the MAGA guy up there with the Mormon church. All right, now I don't believe it had anything to do with the political affiliation, but still yet, we're talking about a man who just decided that the people that are within that church were a part of this antichrist religion and he needed to go in there and stop it and to take them out. So why is it so hard to believe that someone on the other side of the aisle, especially that's a far left person, he's an extreme leftist, was willing to go out and commit violence? I see it all the time on videos where there's right-wing people out there or just political conservatives out there giving street interviews, and they're being attacked at random by people that just don't agree with their views. Why is it so hard to believe that there was someone out there that just took it upon himself to go shoot Charlie Kirk because he thought he was going to be a martyr for a cause, to prove a point that you can't just continue to speak about these things openly and expect that there's not going to be violent retribution. These people have been propagandized to believe that. They've been brought into this scenario because they've been told that they are being attacked by words which are violence, and that they need to go ahead and go out and use violence as revenge for that or in retribution for that, to stop those people from speaking. That's what they've been told. That's what they've propagandized with on the left. And they've been setting the stage, that I've talked about with Maxine Waters. Go out there and engage them. Let them know that they're not welcome. Jasmine Crockett, again, I need to hit your opponents over the head. All right, hitting Ted Cruz over the head. We need to punch him. We need to punch him. So the truth is that it's an absolute certainty that there are going to be people that are going to do this. So in this scenario, I am saying that after I've looked at all of this evidence repeatedly, hours upon hours and upon hours, and I've listened to the conspiracy theories, and none of the conspiracy theories sit with me as something that could be linked to Tyler Robinson. And if you can't link that to Tyler Robinson, then it doesn't matter. The rest of it doesn't matter. There's no way that simultaneously without the knowledge of Tyler Robinson being up there on top of that rooftop, firing this weapon, that the security team was in unison taking him out at the exact same time. And I don't believe the security team, which was, this is not a hired outside group. These were actually friends of Charlie Kirk. No motive to take him out other than what Candace Owens might have been talking about, or was talking about, that there could have been some kind of monetary issues within TPUSA that were going to be investigated. I just don't believe that those people, regardless of that, would go and try to take out their friend, Charlie Kirk. I believe that they did not properly go out there and vet the area and stick people in strategic positions, that you had roamers out. And this is my personal opinion, because this is what I would have done. But so, in this case, I believe they should have had roamers out there. I believe they should have had people watching rooftops, because the death threats they had already had were real. I just don't think that they thought, I don't believe that they thought that it was that imminent, that it was going to be somebody on a rooftop with a sniper rifle. But I think they should have believed that. Look at Thomas Crooks. All right, look at Ryan Ralph. The Trump assassination attempts. Both of them. So, in this case, I believe, again, face value here. This man just did not agree with what Charlie Kirk was saying, and he went in there and he just took him out. That's what he did. And that's the end of it. There's plenty of evidence leading up to it, and even though they don't have a ton of physical evidence, they do have some physical evidence with the DNA on the towel. They have the DNA, I believe, on the bullets. They have the DNA on the gun. And if they can link that, those bullets, metallurgically, to the one that they found in Charlie Kirk's neck, then there you go. It's a slam dunk at that point. But we haven't got there yet. Now, people were saying, well, we haven't got the autopsy report. Proposed, in this case, that the medical examiner is basically going to say the same thing the autopsy report says. Now, we don't have it yet, so that's not definitive, but I don't think that it's going to go much further than what the medical examiner has already reported as to how the bullet went in, and maybe a little more specific. But the truth of the matter is, if you can metallurgically match the bullet that they got out of Charlie Kirk's neck with the ones that the FBI has, then that, to me, is a rock-solid case. Now, what I don't like is this. The bullet didn't go through his neck. Okay. Is it possible for a 30-06 round to not go through his neck? Yeah, it is. It's unlikely, still possible. But if we actually had pictures of the rounds, like we got from the anti-ICE shooting down there in Dallas, Texas, which happened the very next day, we had pictures of the rounds. Why don't we have pictures of these rounds? Is it because of the rhetoric that's been engraved onto the shells or onto the casings? Maybe so, but there was the anti-ICE rhetoric that was on those shells that they showed us from Dallas, Texas. So why don't we get to see the pictures of the shells that they got, the bullets that they pulled off of that roof, or that they got from the gun? Now, I don't remember if they said the casing was actually on the roof, but I do know that there were bullets that were still in the Mauser 98 that they found. That is what they said. So if we get pictures of those, maybe we can determine what type of rounds they were. Maybe there were these fragnable rounds that destroyed themselves or obliterated once they hit their target. That's a good possibility. Why isn't that a possibility? I think there's a lot left to be said with the evidence that has not yet been revealed by the FBI, all the specifics here. So I think that the conspiracies are just going wild. People are going nuts with this. This is not the JFK assassination in that respect. There was tons and tons of stuff about the assassination of JFK that did not make sense. A person shooting from a rooftop a couple hundred yards away at Charlie Kirk, when they actually have video of him running off the roof with the weapon, running away from the spot where he supposedly shot from, allegedly, and then they have pictures of him dropping off of the back of the roof. No, we do not have pictures of him during the time at which he shot the weapon. We don't have that. But I'm pretty sure they've got them because they have all the rest of the evidence as far as pertaining to the video evidence. They have the rest of it, so they probably have that too. It's just not been released. I think everybody just needs to, take a minute, step back, and wait till they release the rest of this evidence that they've got. They're trying to put together a case. They're saying that it's black and white, and in this case, I'm going to have to agree with it unless I get something that's very definitive that shows me that these two things cannot go together. But right now, when I look at these anomalies in this case, they don't link back to Tyler Robinson. And if you can't link those anomalies to Tyler Robinson, then I don't believe you've got a conspiracy case. Okay? The conspiracy is this man conspired to kill Charlie Kirk. He may have done it with some of his collaborators and his Trans-Tifa cult or Antifa, maybe even with his roommate. Maybe he just told them about it. Who says that they even egged him on? We don't know any of those things. We just know that he mentioned that in some text prior to. We know that there were some people that were supposedly on Discord, according to the InfoWars network, that mentioned that Charlie Kirk was going to be dead the next day, and then afterward they said, "I told you so." Those things are out there. Kash Patel had said that he was looking into that. Now we're hearing radio silence on that. Is he actually looking into co-conspirators? Maybe they're just looking at getting Tyler Kirk and getting his trial done, or at least locking it down to where they know they have absolute evidence that's going to put this guy in the electric chair or in front of a firing squad before they go on to trying to put his co-conspirators away. That evidence is not going anywhere. So if they have definitive evidence already, they may be looking to it behind the scenes, but they're not openly saying it. I just want to say, that's just, the conspiracies out there are just going nuts. I don't like it. I'm a conspiracy theorist guy. I've looked at tons and tons of conspiracies. Some of them make sense, some of them don't. And if you can't link them all together, especially like in this case, if you cannot link these anomalies to the actual shooter, then you don't have a conspiracy. It's just you seeing anomalies and assuming they're connected. Not everything is like that. It's just true. Not everything is a broader conspiracy brought down from Israel, or a broader conspiracy that the CIA operatives are working with Tyler Robinson. Now, it is true he was part of the CAI group, which is a feeder group into the CIA, because he was an extremely intelligent person. But there's no evidence he was connected by CIA operatives. There's no evidence he had some kind of a handler. There's plenty of evidence out there that he was propagandized and that he was radicalized, and that he just went out and acted upon that. And that makes sense to me, because that is the intent of the propaganda. That is the intent of radicalizing these people, so that they go out and they can do it on their own, so they don't have to be directed from above. That is the ultimate goal of the people that are propagandizing them to begin with. Know that. So don't think that everything is directed from on high. They're putting the propaganda out there so that people that do it independently, they don't want to have to direct it. That's the intent. They want us to do it on our own. That makes it easy for them, because then they don't have to go into the media and say, oh, we didn't do this, and they have to try to cover up stuff that links it to them. Because they can just deny that it was them, and in truth, there's no direct connection to them. You just have the propaganda that they've been putting out there. They can say, well, that doesn't mean that we told him to go do this. Even though they know very well that it sets the stage, and it actually puts it into their minds that they need to go out there and commit violence in revenge for the violence that is being perpetrated upon them in words, not deeds. That's all I got to say for tonight. You guys have a good night. God bless.